Welcome everyone to what you might call a deep dive, if you're the kind of person who enjoys using nautical metaphors for educational content. Today, we're going to be talking about the COSO Enterprise Risk Management Framework. Don't worry, I know what you're thinking. COSO, that sounds like a brand of off-brand tissues you find in a gas station bathroom. But trust me on this, it's actually a bit more important than that. We're talking about the kind of framework that can make or break an organization, and believe me, watching a company crumble due to poor risk management is far more horrifying than any horror movie, mostly because it unfolds in slow, agonizing quarterly reports. Over the next however long it takes to make this engaging, we'll be breaking down the 5 pillars and 20 principles of COSO ERM. Think of it as a 20-piece McNugget meal, but instead of questionable chicken, it's knowledge that might actually be good for you. First up, we have governance and culture, which is a much more exciting name than it sounds. This isn't some dusty board meeting where everyone's asleep except for a fly who's tragically wandered into the wrong room. No, this is about setting the tone, the atmosphere, the very air that your organization breathes. It's about establishing that risk management isn't some tedious box-ticking exercise, but a fundamental part of everything you do. Think of it like this. If your organization were a pirate ship, governance would be the captain, steering the ship and setting the course. Culture, on the other hand, is the ship's overall vibe. Is it a disciplined, well-oiled machine, or is it more of a rum-soaked, free-for-all kind of situation? And let's be honest, we all secretly root for the pirates who are a little chaotic, but not when it comes to managing risk. That's because a strong risk culture is built on ethical values, responsible behavior, and a shared understanding that risk is everyone's business. It's about creating an environment where people feel comfortable speaking up about potential problems before they turn into actual ship-sinking disasters. Now, you might be thinking, John, this all sounds very abstract and philosophical, and to that I say you're absolutely right. But that doesn't mean it's not important. Because without the right governance and culture, all the other principles and components of COSO ERM are about as useful as a chocolate fireguard in a heatwave. So, you've got your ship in order, you've got your crew, mostly sober, and you're ready to set sail. But where are you going? That's where strategy and objective setting come in, which is the corporate equivalent of not just blindly sailing into a hurricane because it felt right. This pillar is all about figuring out what you want to achieve and how you plan on getting there, all while acknowledging that the sea of business is absolutely teeming with metaphorical sharks. And much like the real ocean, ignoring those sharks won't make them go away. We start by defining our risk appetite. Just like you wouldn't put a whole plate of nachos within my arm's reach, an organization needs to decide how much risk it's willing to stomach. This isn't about being reckless. It's about being honest about your capacity for delicious, cheesy risk. Once you know your risk appetite, you can align it with your overall strategy. For example, if your strategy is to become the biggest banana importer in the Southern Hemisphere, your risk appetite probably shouldn't involve investing all your money in a single rickety banana boat. Finally, we set specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound objectives, or as I like to call them, SMART objectives. It's a good thing they came up with that acronym, because let me tell you, trying to make an acronym out of specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound is about as fun as, well, you get the idea. Chapter 3. Performance. Putting it all into practice. And hoping for the best, but preparing for the worst. So we've got our metaphorical ship, we've got our course charted, and we've even managed to avoid those metaphorical sharks, for now. But now it's time to actually, sail the damn ship. And that's where performance comes in. This pillar is all about identifying, assessing, and responding to the risks that could throw your carefully laid plans completely off course. It's about being proactive, not reactive. It's about expecting the unexpected, because let's be honest, in the vast ocean of existence, the unexpected is always lurking just around the corner. First, we need to identify the risks that could prevent us from achieving our objectives. And I'm not just talking about the obvious risks, like a giant squid attacking your banana boat. I'm talking about the more subtle risks, the ones that sneak up on you when you least expect it, like a sudden drop in the demand for bananas because, I don't know, a celebrity chef decided that plantains were the new hot fruit. Once we've identified the risks, we need to assess them. How likely are they to occur? And if they do occur, how much damage could they do? This is where things get a little bit mathematical, but don't worry, you don't need to be a math whiz to understand this. You just need to be able to understand that some risks are bigger than others, and you need to prioritize accordingly. Chapter 4, Review and Revision. Because even the best laid plans can go over a waterfall, metaphorically speaking. So we've set our course, we're sailing along, we're actively avoiding metaphorical sharks and squids, and everything seems to be going swimmingly. But this is where complacency can sneak in. This is where we might be tempted to pat ourselves on the back, crack open a celebratory coconut and relax. But here's the thing, the risk landscape is constantly changing, and what worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. That's where review and revision come in. This pillar is all about taking a step back and looking at the bigger picture. It's about asking ourselves the tough questions like, is our current approach to risk management still effective? Are we actually achieving our objectives? Did that seagull just give me the evil eye? The thing is, the business world is a dynamic, ever-changing environment. New risks emerge, old risks evolve, and sometimes the metaphorical sea throws a curveball your way in the form of a global pandemic or a supply chain disruption or, a sudden and inexplicable surge in the price of bananas. That's why it's so important to regularly review our risk management processes and make adjustments as needed. This isn't about admitting defeat. It's about being adaptable, about being able to change course when the winds shift. Because the only thing worse than encountering a storm is sailing straight into it because you were too stubborn to adjust your sails. Chapter 5. Information, Communication and Reporting. Because nobody likes a know-it-all, except when it comes to risk. Finally, we arrive at the last pillar of COSO ERM, Information, Communication and Reporting. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, you saved the most boring pillar for last. And to that I say, you clearly haven't been paying attention. Because this pillar is the glue that holds everything else together. It's the nervous system of our metaphorical ship, transmitting vital information to all the different parts so that everything runs smoothly. First, we need to make sure that everyone has access to the information they need to make informed decisions about risk. And this isn't just about sending out a company-wide email every quarter with a bunch of boring charts and graphs. It's about making sure that information is accessible, timely and relevant to the people who need it. But it's not enough to just have information. We need to communicate it effectively. And that means talking to people, listening to their concerns, and explaining things in a way that everyone can understand. Because let's be honest, nobody wants to listen to someone drone on and on about risk assessments and control activities. We need to make it engaging, we need to make it relevant, and if all else fails, we need to bribe people with snacks. Finally, we need to report on our risk management performance. This isn't about bragging about how great we are at managing risk. It's about being transparent and accountable. It's about showing our stakeholders that we're taking risk seriously and that we have a plan to address it. Because at the end of the day, the best way to build trust is to be open and honest about the challenges we face. Outro, that's COSO ERM in a nutshell, but the journey doesn't end here. So there you have it, the 5 pillars and 20 principles of COSO ERM, explained in a way that hopefully didn't make you want to shove a banana up your... well, you get the idea. We've covered a lot of ground today, but remember, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Or to stick with our nautical theme, this is just the beginning of our journey to risk management excellence. For a more in-depth look at these 20 principles, head over to our Facebook page, where you'll find even more riveting content that will make you the envy of all your friends. And by envy, I mean mildly interested, and by all your friends, I mean that one friend who's really into accounting. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends, family, and even that weird neighbour who always wears a snorkel in public. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insights from Academia Malaysia, where we make learning about risk management almost as fun as watching a pirate movie. Almost.